To get started, let's take another look at the snapping palette. The first icon is for Snap to Grid. There are two types of grids. One is a visual reference grid, represented by lines. The other is a snapping grid. The reference grid is purely visual. The snapping grid is used in conjunction with the Snap to Grid option and will accurately snap to points on the grid. Let's look at the settings first. To open the settings dialog, double-click the Snap to Grid icon. Here you can set the incremental values for each grid type separately. In most cases, you want the grids to be symmetrical. For the reference grid, I will set that to 1 foot increments. For the snapping grid, I'll use 3-inch increments. Use whatever increments make most sense for your process. When I return to the drawing area, we can see the reference grid as blue lines. Check to make sure that the Snap to Grid option has been selected in the snapping palette. Next, I'll select the rectangle tool. As you move your cursor in the drawing area, you won't feel it snap to every corner. However, as you place objects in the file, instead of them being placed exactly where you clicked, they will be placed to the closest position on the snapping grid. The second click will be sticky, and the cursor will jump from snapping point to snapping point. A couple other features in the Snap to Grid dialog box are the Show Grid and Print Grid. Those are pretty self-explanatory. Then there's the 3D axes. These are helpful when working in 3D. I suggest selecting both the Show 3D Z axis and the Show 3D axis label options. In a 3D view, this adds a blue line for the Z axis and adds labels for X, Y, and Z. Use the Snap to Grid option in the snapping palette to increase your drawing precision.